I have never felt more lost than when I achieved my dream. Growing up, you're made to believe that your dream is your North Star. Follow it and you'll always find your way. Reach it and you'll find fulfillment, contentment, happiness. What they don't tell you is what happens after. I achieved my dream when I was 28 years old. Now I'm 33 and have no idea what to do next. The story begins in 2013, 2 weeks after my last trimester of college ended. I started my first job as an editorial assistant for a culture website and zine. It was a contract position that didn't pay much, but I didn't care. I wanted to be a writer and grew up watching TV shows and movies that romanticized that life. Drinking coffee until your neuroses turned into a voice. Getting that aha moment for your piece over a salad lunch with friends. Possibly running into your next date after a press event. In other words, I wanted to be Carrie Bradshaw. A quintessential Libra just like me and the greatest anti-hero in all of TV. I even moved my bedroom desk by my window to get the full Sex and the City experience. She was one of the many characters on screen at that time that made a job in media seem exciting and glamorous. Later on, we got Andy Anderson from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, then Jenna Ring from 13 Going on 30. Though wildly inaccurate, they made budding writers out of millennials around the world, like me. But despite my twisted need for everyone to notice my purse, I was no Carrie. An awkward millennial with anxiety issues and a propensity to ramble, I hate to admit that I'm probably a lot more like Hannah Horvath. Anyone who has watched Girls, raise your hand. HBO's Girls premiered in 2012, a year before I started my first job, and love it or hate it, remains one of the funniest and cringiest portrayals of the millennial struggle to matter. It's our strength and our weakness. We have a real desire to make a difference in the world, create a disruptive app, write a viral think piece, both for altruistic and sometimes self-serving reasons. We did what we loved, but at a cost, monetizing our interests and turning ourselves into brands. While Gen Z are snail girls, unwilling to succumb to hustle culture, millennials were known as earnest dreamers and cutthroat girl bosses. As editorial assistant, I transcribed 2-hour-long interviews and uploaded articles to the website, which wasn't very fun. But I also got to try the latest restaurants, witnessing the rise and the fall of the cronut, if any of you still remember what that is. My boss had to remind me not to work on weekends, but I was happy to, eager to prove myself and become an editor quicker. See, I truly believed, and I still do, that covering pop culture, especially from Asia, will make the world a better place. But that might be for a different TED Talk. I eventually made my way up as an online editor in less than 2 years. Then 6 years, 3 cities, and 3 companies later, I landed my dream gig. In high school, I read back issues of Vice magazine that my cousin, who lived in Brooklyn at the time, brought home in balikbayan boxes. It spoke to me even though I'm not who you'd imagine a Vice reader to be. 0 tats, standard ear piercings, and straight edge. But I like immersing myself into worlds I'm not a part of. And that's what magazines and movies are to me. 2 friends who didn't know each other sent me their call out for a new editor, thinking I'd be perfect for it. And I took that as a sign to apply and got the job. For close to 4 years, I edited articles on elections, natural disasters, sex, and raves. I learned how to bike at 29 years old for a story, interviewed one of my favorite girl groups twice. That's a K-pop girl group, not 2 times. And consulted with a fortune teller in Seoul who told me that I'd meet my future husband in 7 months. But I didn't. Life happened and I had to quit my job. Months later, Vice stopped publishing on its website along with other millennial media like BuzzFeed News. My former coworkers and I scrambled to save all our work, afraid they'd suddenly disappear. We thought the internet was written in ink. But it turned out that wasn't the case. I wanted to be an editor and became one, but how do I do that now when the media I know is changing? That has a very real, very serious implications to our world today. But on a personal level, it had me rethinking how else I can make my mark in the world. This sounds really cheesy, but it's a real concern for many of us. According to the Deloitte 2024 Gen Z and Millennial survey, 89% of millennials say having a sense of purpose is important to their overall job satisfaction and well-being. But the truth is, it's not about me, or maybe it's not even about you. It never was. I may never create or do anything groundbreaking, and that's fine. Because your purpose doesn't need to be grand. I spend a lot of my time scrolling on TikTok and learn so much every time I do that, including how apparently some call your 30s a second puberty. It's not a scientific term, but describes the changes you go through at that time. Maybe some weight gain, gray hair, back pain, but also on learning old values and learning new ones. It's a lot like being a teen again. For me, it also means a lot of second guessing, figuring things out and regaining self-confidence. I thought I had everything figured out in my 20s, but it turns out I can't hack my way through life. Obsessively following healthy habits and ticking everything off my planner won't guarantee efficiency, let alone relevance, self-worth, and happiness. I have more questions now than ever before and found a job that lets me seek answers. I'm an editor at Canvas 8, where I edit articles on culture-led behavioral insights that explain why people act the way they do. Naturally, the findings that stick to me most are the ones about my generation. Experts say that in 2024, millennials have started seeking a slower life, moving out of cities and into the suburbs or provinces. According to the Harris poll, 70% of US Gen Yers feel deceived by society's suggestion that more money and more career advancement bring joy. We're also tired of chasing self-improvement and want to find joy in our quest for well-being. Of course, you probably already know this. Maybe your best friend moved to Siargao during the pandemic and decided to stay, or have a cousin who bikes to Antipolo every Saturday. Earlier this year, I moved to Baguio, partly as an attempt to slow down and rediscover the things I love to do before my ambition took over. I want to spend time with family, cook more, read faster, watch Greta Gerwig's entire filmography. And I want to do all those things without feeling the need to write an article about it or post on Instagram. I know I'm not the only one. I spent the last decade trying to be different. But multiple studies and an afternoon scrolling on TikTok teaches me that I don't have any unique experiences. Then it hit me. If I'm not different, that means I'm relatable. So here I am talking to you as a recovering millennial to warn you that if you don't feel lost right now, you eventually will. And if you do feel lost, it will pass. Don't pin your hopes on figuring everything out, but don't wait in fear of an existential crisis. You don't even really have to completely change yourself. I don't have a specific goal to work towards right now, but I'm still an earnest dreamer and believe that being the Lulu is the Salulu. I still want to do things that matter, but I don't need to change the world. I also still work a lot with to-do lists, and in my quest to find the new path, here's a new one I'm trying. First, give yourself time to get bored. I was at my most creative during summer breaks in between school years. And I can't get that back now as an adult, which is why I intentionally give myself time to do nothing. According to the Child Mind Institute, boredom can actually help kids, but also adults, develop skills, creativity, and self-esteem. Number 2. Find a hobby you don't monetize or attach your identity to. I started crocheting, for example, because doing things simply because you enjoy them is enough reason to do them. According to the British Journal of Clinical Psychology, engaging in creative activities in your personal time is good for you. And even though the effects are temporary, can benefit your mental health and well-being. Read something that has nothing to do with work. Author Ray Bradbury suggests reading one poem, one short story, and one essay a night. I try to do this, and it's very difficult, but it's a good goal to try. Next is watch a film or TV genre that you're not usually interested in. I don't really have a scientific proof to back this up, except that TV and movies are great and you should watch more of them. But I guess a tip would be explore niche streamers or cultures that you wouldn't normally watch films or movies from, even locally. And finally, explore industries you know nothing about, which is exactly what we're all doing here today. I hope we all find our next dream, and thanks for coming to my TED Talk.